Hey everyone, my name is Nathaniel Rufflejants, and this is Prime News. Alright, hey everyone, welcome to our first ever episode of Prime News. This magical Monday has some great stories for you, so let's get into what this show is. This is Prime News from Nintendo Prime. We are here to summarize the day's stories to end your day and send you to bed knowing what's happening at Nintendo. And the first story we're covering today has to deal with Nintendo Switch's 2017 was apparently magical. Of course, we all know it really was magical, according to Metacritic. So Metacritic did their 8th annual report and all that stuff, and apparently Nintendo was second, yes, second among all video game publishers last year in terms of being the best. The only publisher that they were behind was Bethesda, and I have some details to share with you guys about all this. Nintendo had 3 games on Switch that were rated 90+. Last year. Can you guess what those 3 games are? Hold on, I'll give you a second. Alright, time's up. It was Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and, drumroll please, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So yeah, 3 90+ rated games. Nintendo also averaged a Metascore for games they released on Switch of an 80. For 3DS, their own published games were a 75.5. So overall, Nintendo, very, very good on Metacritic. Gotta say, I'm proud of you, Nintendo. You had a great 2017. Let's hope that the rest of 2018 can live up to the bar you have set. Now, you might notice I'm wearing a Pokemon hat. You want to know why? Because we have a big news story for tomorrow, because tomorrow is Pokemon Day. What is Pokemon Day? Well, it is a celebration of Pokemon, because tomorrow, 22 years ago, well, Pokemon Red and Blue released on the Game Boy. And that is what kicked off the entire Pokemon franchise we know and love today. From anime series and trading card games and now mobile apps and all this crazy stuff. And eventually Pokemon on Switch. So we have a summary of some events happening tomorrow and some special things. First off, Pikachu Talk is being added to Alexa in Google Home. They are doing this tomorrow, and it's allowing fans to ask Pikachu questions, and Pikachu will respond in the classic way of like Pika Pika, Pikachu, and blah, 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 blah. Maybe I'll do a video on it tomorrow showing myself asking some really silly questions and seeing how Pikachu responds. On Snapchat, they are adding lenses, because that's what they do on Snapchat. They change up your look. They're adding 3 different lenses for the original starting Pokemon of Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. Now, the Bulbasaur one is already available. In fact, look at this cute little picture of me. But beyond that, Charmander is being added next, followed by Squirtle. I would assume these should be launched by the end of day tomorrow. On top of that, Pokemon Center is launching a large-scale gallery figures, very similar to figures they released the previous year. They are headlining the figures this year with a Charizard unleashing its classic Blast Burn move. It's weird. I actually don't remember what move Blast Burn is. Anyways, they are also releasing Dialga and Palkia pins. They're launching those tomorrow at the Pokemon Center. It's part of their legendary line of pins. Pokemon the movie I Choose You will be available on Pokemon TV for the first time tomorrow, and it will be up for a week. You can get it through Pokemon.com/TV, I believe, or you can download apps on iOS and Android. Pokemon Go will have a special Pikachu wearing a festive striped purple hat, and it knows the move Present, which gives triple the usual Stardust when caught. You will be able to catch this Pikachu until the 28th at 1 p.m. Pacific. If you are using the hashtag Pokemon Day on places like Twitter, your posts may be featured as well on the Pokemon Daily Hub. There might be more stuff than this happening. There's some people that speculate that Pokemon Switch will be announced tomorrow, but this is what they have officially announced through their press release. There might be some other little tidbits that come out on social media over the course of the day and other things that happen in Pokemon Go and all that such. But you know what? This is a nice celebration for Pokemon, really. You know, I was there. I was there 22 years ago when Pokemon came out. You know, what was that? I was 9? I mean, 9 years old when Pokemon came out. I was there day one. I don't know why I was there day one. I didn't really see any commercials for it back then. I just bought it because I had a Game Boy. and I had a blast. So it's very, very interesting that 22 years later, we are still getting some epic celebrations of that anniversary. Moving on, Sonic. Did you guys know that Sonic the Hedgehog wasn't originally pitched as a hedgehog? No, 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 no. Sonic was pitched as a human boy. This is according to the original artist of the Sonic franchise. So there really isn't much to say here outside of the fact that Naoto Oshima, who was the one who pitched Sonic the Hedgehog, or at the time just called Sonic, to Sega, pitched it basically in largely what Sonic ended up becoming, you know, a smoother moving character, running fast, doing loop-to-loops, collecting, you know, coins or rings or whatever. But the original design included Sonic being a human boy. Obviously, later that ended up changing and it became Sonic the Hedgehog. And no, we don't have any images of this original design. It would have been cool, like when this story came out, for this person who created the design to also give us what that human boy design looked like. But it is what it is. Sonic has gone on to become one of the most successful franchises in video game history. Even Sonic Forces, whether or not you thought it was a good game, it ended up selling pretty decently well, I've heard. So kudos to you, Sonic. You had probably one of your better years last year in Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, and apparently, at one point, you were a real boy. Man, Pinocchio's really jealous. We have a few other little stories here I want to mention before the end. For starters, that did you know the Switch sold 1 million units in France as of this past week? That is right. That makes France the third major country to move over 1 million units of Nintendo Switch. The first being the United States, second being Japan, and the third being France. So yeah, to put this in perspective, the Xbox One has only sold 1.3 million units in France, so it is well on its way within the next month or two to surpass Xbox One's total sales in France. I don't have the PlayStation 4 numbers ahead of me, but I've heard that PlayStation 4 has sold phenomenally well in France, so it might be a while before we could even get some good comparisons there. But that's good news. Also, they updated their sales figures from last year, like best overall selling games. Breath of the Wild was one of the top ones, selling over 500,000 copies in France. And other titles that charted for Nintendo included the Pokemon games, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. And then you also had Super Mario Odyssey 1, 2, Switch. Those were kind of like the big ones that charted last year. Another story, this actually, I'm going to give Game Explain credit on this, but it actually comes from the official Kirby Star Allies website. They put up a bunch of new footage showing off different abilities, different friend abilities, and Game Explain went ahead and gathered all that footage together and threw it up on YouTube. So here we're going to show a little bit of Game Explain's collection of footage here, and as always, you can go down to the description to get the source for all this stuff and check out the entire footage. But here, enjoy. Man, I am getting more and more pumped for Kirby Star Allies the more I see of it. The last story we're going to talk about then is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They are releasing an official soundtrack in Japan on May 23rd. There's actually going to be 3 versions of it. Like, one of them is exclusive to Amazon Japan and is going to be limited to 2,000 copies. It sounds like all of the soundtracks are actually like the exact same collection of music, but they're just in like different formats. Like, one's like a USB drive, one's a disc, etc., etc. Again, I always get confused when this seems to happen with Xenoblade anything. I mean, you guys remember when the original Xenoblade came out in the United States, it was limited to just GameStop stores, and there were very limited quantities of the game, and it feels like if Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is popular enough to have a soundtrack, why wouldn't you just let everyone who wants to buy the soundtrack buy it? It would have been different if it would have came out as like a special edition, you know, and had limited quantities at launch. But I don't know. That's just my take on the whole thing. Hey, you know what? At least there's going to be an official soundtrack available for the game. And we all know that means that the soundtrack's going to be available online through some questionable means. Anyways, folks, that's going to do it for today's Prime News. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I will catch you guys in our recap for tomorrow. And as always, folks, if you like this video, you know what to do. If you dislike the video, hit that dislike button. Subscribe for more content, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Da-da-dun-da-dun, da-da-dun-da-dun, da-da-dun, 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 da-da-dun-da-dun.